Kyle's famous. Kyle's hot dog. Kyle is Santa. Kyle was famous. Kyle is hot dogs now. Exciting. This is new Kyle is famous DLC. Just dropped a little bit ago. I love this game. This game is hilarious and wonderful. And if you don't know what Kyle is famous, I'll leave a link in the description below. You too can go check it out. Do you like my hot dog? There's 22 more endings for Kyle's Hot Dog, and I am very excited to get all 22. I cannot wait to jump in here. I am going to take this off because it hurts a little bit. It's not mine. It's my kids. Kyle wakes up. He's famous. Kyle's the host of the most popular talk show in recent memory, Stay Up Late with Kyle. Stay Up Late with Kyle has grown in popularity quickly in the last year, and the public has noticed. Inside has called Kyle a most excellent dumpy white man. Like me! I make that joke a lot. Top Tech noted that Kyle is inspiring youth to explore STEM fields. Most other talk shows are dedicated to discussing Kyle and his personal details. Most online videos are best of clips taken from Kyle's latest broadcast. The eye of the world is upon Kyle. Tonight it's Kyle's most important guest interview yet. Stay Up Late with Kyle will be featuring Rachel May. She's a kind and lovely philanthropist. She's dear to the hearts of many. This interview requires preparation. Kyle cracked his eyes open, knowing today is his last chance to prepare for the interview. Kyle has 30 hours left. He must choose his actions wisely. I love to see this become something special. Kyle thought very carefully about the first move of his day. Become hot dog salesman. Kyle laid in bed for a moment thinking about the day ahead. He would produce another episode of his long-running show. Yes. Kyle thought about making breakfast, the same breakfast he'd been making for the past 9 years. Kyle thought about the clothes he would wear. They had not changed for long as skunk pasties. Kyle waited for something new and interesting to enter his head. Something fresh, something exciting. Kyle continued to wait. Nothing came to mind. In a sudden moment of inspiration, Kyle threw his covers to the ground and stepped out of bed. Kyle had made a decision. Today would not be part of an old journey. Today would be the start of something new. Kyle walked over to his desk and opened the middle drawer. He slowly removed an ancient, withered stick of meat. Today, Kyle planned to make good on his childhood passion, the career he had abandoned to become a talk show host. Kyle looked caringly at the crusty hot dog in his hands, and then he smiled. Then he bent his lips downwards and slowly sucked the hot dog into his mouth and into his stomach. Why did he? Gross. Kyle had become a hot dog vendor. He must now prepare for his first day running a hot dog stand. Why? Why? Kyle exited his bed and took a quick glance around his bedroom. Well, let's see if... Let's not dress and see what happens. Let's just exit the bedroom. We're just gonna play it by ear. Go to kitchen. Think about hot dogs. Being in the kitchen gave Kyle a massive amount of hot dog-related nostalgia. He stood still pondering. Continue thinking about hot dogs. Kyle continued to think about hot dogs. He thought about their flavor. He thought about how different brands tasted differently. Kyle thought about hot dog texture and their feelings in his hand. Kyle was still thinking about hot dogs. Kyle's skin began to dissolve its bond and melt from standing still too long. I don't think that's how that works. He began to spread across the floor, creating puddles through the kitchen. Kyle's jaw caved, causing the top of his head to slowly drop backwards and point to the ceiling. Kyle sunk lower and lower. His height was soon half of what it was before. Chunks of skin fell to the ground. Kyle's fingers and legs fell off, dissolving into drops of ooze as they dropped. Kyle was a large puddle of melted skin with bumps where his main features used to be. Kyle's atoms had lost all of their bonds. He had turned into nothing more than a meat-based soup. Kyle stopped thinking about hot dogs and moved on with his day. Alright. Kyle opened the fridge intending to find something to eat. Kyle searched through the fridge trying to find hot dogs. His search turned up nothing. Kyle was not surprised as he never stored meat in his refrigerator. We're just gonna waste the last 2 hours and we're just gonna go to be a hot dog salesman. Kyle made his way to the street corner, but there was a problem. In his rush to collect the things he would need to properly be a hot dog salesman, Kyle had forgotten to put on clothes. That's what I was hoping. Kyle decided to continue onwards and just hope nobody noticed. Unfortunately, many people noticed. Kyle spent his night in jail for indecent exposure. The next day, Kyle was released with a small fine. He had missed his opportunity to sell hot dogs. Oh! Kyle went to jail. That was so sad. Kyle had a dream and his dream was crushed. Let's not eat. We'll get dressed and we won't eat. We will wear our hot dog suit. Kyle put on his hot dog suit, which he had made by stitching hot dogs together when he was a child. It's not like the hot dog suit I was wearing. Chew on suit. Feeling fairly hungry, Kyle bent over and took a large bite out of his suit. He felt refreshed. We've eaten. It wasn't enough. Kyle continued to eat his clothing. Soon, Kyle had eaten most of the suit. The chunks that were left were enough to act as clothes, but barely. Kyle felt satisfied. The hot dogs had nourished him greatly, functionally giving him more time in his day. Because you ate. We're back to 30 hours. It's the time machine all over again. That you use that for your ultimate ending, whatever that actually is. Let's check the drawer. So we're gonna sit at desk. Kyle made his way over to his desk and sat down. Search for hot dogs. Kyle searched through his desk to find more hot dogs that he could sell. But Kyle had moved his hot dog stash somewhere else. He shut the drawer empty-handed. Kyle opened up the side drawer on his desk and grabbed one of the items stored there. Kyle grabbed the small key he kept in his desk. Check pantry. Kyle wanted to access the pantry but found it was locked with a small keyhole. The pantry door lock creaked as if it hadn't moved for years, but opened eventually, expectantly. I don't remember what it said. Instead of an assortment of canned goods and grains, Kyle's pantry stored massive amounts of bottled lard. Grab hot dogs. Kyle searched around the pantry for a selection of hot dogs. After a few minutes of searching, Kyle found several stretches of old hot dogs loose and in paper bags. He gathered them together and saw that he had a serviceable amount of hot dogs. All right, let's see if we can't, we need buns or condiments. Let's see if we can grab those in the fridge. Kyle walked to the center of the kitchen. Condiments. Kyle started to grab condiments from the fridge, squirting them into his mouth with both hands. The rate at which ketchup, soy sauce, and other items entered Kyle's mouth soon overrode his ability to swallow. Kyle spewed the excess condiments across the kitchen, covering the furniture and walls. Kyle continued until all of the condiments had been emptied. All right, let's return to hallway. Check locked door. Hot dog magic. Kyle walked over to the strange door in the hallway, but found quickly that the door was locked from the inside. With a hum and a pop, Kyle used his massive knowledge of hot dog magic to change the door handle into a hot dog. Kyle sucked the hot dog into his mouth, opened the door, and walked through. Search for Hotdog Stand. No, we didn't make it! Oh, no! Kyle made his way to the street corner. After a long day of preparation, Kyle felt very ready for his first day as a hot dog salesman. Kyle started to unpack his things onto this corner of the street. As he unpacked, Kyle realized he had never gotten a food cart to make his hot dogs in. Kyle had no choice but to place his hot dogs on the ground. Looking at the hot dogs strewn across the sidewalk, Kyle realized he had found a golden opportunity. Kyle began to roll his hot dogs around in the dirt, pressing firmly so it would be embedded into the food. After a while, his back became sore from bending over. Kyle continued with the bottom of his shoe. Soon, all of the hot dogs had been sufficiently seasoned. Kyle swept his hot dogs into a pile and sat on the concrete next to him. It was a warm day and lots of people were walking by. It wouldn't be long before someone came over to buy a hot dog. And in a couple of minutes, as expected, a figure stepped over and stood in front of Kyle. Kyle, said Gabby, what are you doing? Gabby, today I'm fulfilling my hot dog dream, said Kyle. This is my hot dog stand. Gabby wasn't sure what to say. Kyle, Gabby searched for a way to tell Kyle gently that he was not about to sell any hot dogs. And then, in a moment of pure compassion and grace, Gabby decided to be Kyle's first customer. Kyle, I want to help inspire you, said Gabby. How much is a single hot dog? Kyle wordlessly grabbed a hot dog from his pile, jumped to his feet, and shoved it into Gabby's mouth hole. That's assault! Gabby realized that the hot dogs were delicious. Driven by pure empathy, Gabby began to drive passerbys on the street and force feed them Kyle's hot dogs. One by one, the citizens of Kyle's city became embarrassingly obsessed with his hot dogs. That's what people say to me. Because I'm a hot dog salesman. I sell hot dogs. As Kyle's pile of hot dogs ran out, the demand for his wares increased. Kyle's hot dogs became a valuable form of currency. They were bought and sold on the international stock market. Men and women were made rich from investing in Kyle's hot dogs. Kyle's hot dogs were all quickly snatched by investors. Having nothing left, Kyle decided to go home. As he entered his apartment, Kyle stopped. Today, he had turned over a new leaf. Today, he had followed his dream. Kyle had helped the economy, yes. But Kyle had also grown as a person. Kyle was content. Kyle was content. Dirt hot dogs. Dirt hot dogs. Let's do this right. Let's go get the cart and also the hot dogs. Use our hot dog magic. With a hum and a pop, Kyle used his massive knowledge of hot dog magic to change the door handle into a hot dog. Kyle sucked the hot dog into his mouth, opened the door, and walked through. Search for a hot dog stand. Kyle started looking around for anything he could use to make a hot dog stand. Kyle rooted around the scattered boxes and loose items. He picked up buckets, pieces of wood, rusty nails, and bits of string. Soon he had enough loose items to be reasonably sure of being able to craft a stand that wouldn't fall over. Kyle walked. All right, so now we have to get dressed, otherwise we get the bad ending. So, bedroom, closet, outfit, hot dog suit. Wait, counts! Oh man, it counted. But look, it counted right there. More. Kyle made his way to the street corner. After a long day of preparation, Kyle felt very ready for his first day as a hot dog salesman. Kyle started to unpack his things onto the corner of the street. Kyle took out his cart pieces and began to assemble them. With a little trouble, Kyle was able to finish constructing a workable hot dog stand. Eat or continue? Let's continue and then we'll circle back around to eat. Kyle then started to place hot dogs he had brought into the cart. They were cold, but Kyle had never cooked his hot dogs as a child and didn't want to start now. His prep finished, Kyle looked around and smiled, waiting for his first customer. It counts. It was then that Kyle realized he had not bothered to acquire any advertisement for his cart. If the hot dog stand would be a success, Kyle realized he would need to advertise all on his own. Kyle thought about his advertising options. Personal engagement, screaming, luck. Luck it is, am I right? Better to be lucky than skilled, someone once said. Kyle figured that he would just get lucky and everything would work out okay. As people passed by, Kyle looked at them intently and grinned. Few noticed him. Those that noticed didn't stop. Soon, Kyle realized that in order to sell hot dogs, he needed to become more lucky. Kyle picked up his things and walked over to the local leprechaun pit. Why is there a leprechaun pit? Leprechauns began crawling out of the depths and circled around Kyle. A single elder leprechaun stepped forward, twirling his beard with one finger. Doesn't really work, does it? What seeketh this man from the council of leprechauns and disturbs us from our slumber? Asked the leprechaun. Kyle spoke confidently. I want to sell hot dogs. The leprechaun smiled and began to stroke his chin. Ah, yes, I understand. The leprechaun turned around. We can give you what you search for, said the leprechaun. But be aware, it will not come easily. Kyle paused, thinking about the offer. Accept! The leprechaun jumped onto Kyle's face and started force-feeding themselves to him. Why? Kyle's eyes bugged out and he started swirling around and waving his hands, but the leprechaun did not stop. Soon, Kyle had been force-fed every leprechaun in the pit. Kyle realized the leprechauns must have imbued him with their luck. Kyle rushed back to his hot dog post, excited to try his new luck on hot dog sales. Kyle stood behind his hot dog cart and smiled. In fact, though, the leprechauns had been wrong. They had not imbued Kyle with their luck. Kyle had swallowed them needlessly. Kyle did not sell any hot dogs in his stand. Over the next couple of weeks, Kyle had to small leprechaun skeletons every morning. I don't know why this game is the way it is, but I really appreciate it. Kyle ate the leprechauns. Alright. We are gonna go decline the leprechauns this time and see what happens. I'll meet you there. Kyle paused, thinking about the offer. The leprechauns looked at Kyle, tears in their eyes. The lead leprechaun turned back to Kyle sadly. Is our leprechaun magic not pleasing ya? Kyle did not know what to say. He stared blankly forward, saddened to cause disappointment. The leprechauns looked devastated. They hung their heads and slowly crawled back into their pit. Kyle was silent. He shuffled his feet awkwardly. Then, in a moment of pure empathy, Kyle flung himself into the leprechaun pit in a show of dedication. Kyle landed on top of the leprechauns, immediately squishing them all. Within a few short moments, Kyle had destroyed years of Irish history and legend. Kyle realized what had happened. He sheepishly crawled out of the pit and back to his apartment. He lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. After several hours, Kyle decided to never try to change his career again. Oh, Kyle destroyed culture. In Kyle's defense, the other ending, basically the exact same. Difference is he ate them all. Alright, this time what we are going to do is we are going to get the cart, but instead of using luck, we're going to scream. Kyle thought about his advertising options. Screaming. Without hesitation, Kyle craned his neck towards the sky and loosed a blood-curdling scream like none other. Everyone around stopped to look at Kyle, unhappy with the noise. Kyle's scream continued and became more and more distasteful. Soon, there was not a person in his city that was not unhappy with Kyle's screaming. Kyle continued to scream throughout the night and into the next day. People began to stop next to Kyle, foregoing work to stand and frown. It's just people just like... The reach of his scream began to spread, reaching nearby cities, then states, then countries. The world grew a distaste for Kyle's screaming. Families spent their evenings frowning. What are you gonna do tonight? I don't know. Frown? Nobody was terribly happy. A petition to move humanity away from Kyle's screaming was created. Everyone signed it. All of the nations of the world put their minds together and created a shuttle for humanity to leave Earth. Within a day, the human race had left on a trip to a new planet, away from the sound of Kyle's screams. Kyle continued to scream for many years, hoping someone would buy a hot dog so he could stop. But there was nobody left to buy any hot dogs. Kyle was all alone. Oh, that was the worst. It's so dark. Oh, it's so dark. All right, let's try the last advertising option. Kyle thought about his advertising options. Personal engagement. Kyle could not think of a better marketing strategy than good old-fashioned personal connection. Kyle waited for a pedestrian to walk by. Soon, a young couple walked towards him, holding hands and laughing at each other. Kyle grabbed the young man's hand from the woman and drew him close and looked into his eyes pleadingly. Hey, you, said Kyle quietly. There's something I need you to do for me. Kyle drew the man's hand in front of his face and down to the rest of the pile of hot dogs on his cart. He patted the top of the man's hand. Imagine that happening. There you go. You know what to do. You know what to do. There was a long silence. There was a long silence. Nobody moved. Then Kyle got bored and started repeatedly smashing his own face into the hot dog pile. Buy my hot dogs, please. Kyle then started to scream uncontrollably. Then suddenly Kyle used his deep knowledge of hot dog magic to start shooting hot dogs from his fingertips. Kyle shot the hot dogs across every part of the street. They came out of his fingers in massive amounts. Kyle couldn't resist. He tipped his fingers into his mouth. and then began to consume all of the hot dogs himself. Kyle didn't stop eating the hot dogs flying from his fingers. He continued to eat all evening and into the next day. Kyle didn't want to stop eating, but he knew he had responsibilities to take care of. Kyle started to walk to his studio, keeping his hands lodged in his mouth the whole way. Kyle conducted the night's interview while consuming hot dogs, and the next nights, and the next. Kyle never stopped eating hot dogs. It became part of his personality so much as anything else. Kyle began to not enjoy eating hot dogs at all times, but since it was now expected of him, he continued. Eating hot dogs became nothing more than part of his job, just like getting dressed in the morning and tax forms. Kyle had expanded his professional skill set. I've never wanted hot dog magic more than I do now. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more Kyle's hot dogs, hit that subscribe button. If you want to become a member of the channel, hit that join button down below. If you didn't understand what was going on as much as me, hit that like button. If you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. And if you share this any dollar, that would make my heart go hot dog fingers. Pew pew. And as always, have an amazing rest of your day. And here's your heart and your blink. Bye. What a good game.
People just like. I've never wanted hot dog magic more than I do now. Oh, that was the worst!